The rain came down in sheets that Wednesday night, turning the streets of Cedar Falls into rivers of reflected neon. Most people had the sense to stay inside. Most people weren't 6 years old and running for their lives. Wren Adeline Harper pressed herself against the brick wall behind the dumpster, her small body shaking so hard her teeth rattled. The sock doll clutched to her chest was soaked through its button eyes, staring up at her like they understood, like they knew. Hope. That's what Mama had named the doll. Back when Mama was still alive. Back when hope meant something. 3 nights. It had been 3 nights since they took Finn. 3 nights of hiding, of running, of being so scared she couldn't even cry anymore because crying made noise and noise got you caught. The white van circled the block again. Slow. Hunting. Wren squeezed her eyes shut and thought about what Finn had told her that last day when they were sharing a half-eaten sandwich behind the Sunshine Diner. His voice had been serious the way it got when he was teaching her something important. If the bad men ever come for us, Wren, you run, and you don't look back. You hear me? She'd nodded, not really understanding. And if they get me first, you go to 7th Street. You find the building with all the motorcycles. The one with the skull and wings on the door. The bikers, Wren had whispered, scared just thinking about them. Yeah, the Hells Angels. Finn had gripped her shoulders, his 10-year-old hands trying to be strong for both of them. I know they look scary, but they're good scary. They protect kids. They protect people nobody else cares about. You go there. You ask them for help. Promise me. I promise, but that was before the van men came, before they grabbed Finn right in front of her, his scream cutting through the night like broken glass. Hide behind the dumpster, Wren, don't come out. She'd done what he said. She always did what Finn said because Finn kept her alive. She'd pressed herself into the shadows and watched them drag him into that white van, watched him fight and kick and scream her name. And she'd seen the man with the lightning-shaped scar on his neck lean close to Finn and say something that made her blood turn to ice. Tell us where the little blonde girl is and we'll let you go. Finn had spit in his face. The man with the scar had laughed. Doesn't matter. We'll find her, but boss wants fresh inventory. Little girls like that one fetch premium prices. The van door had slammed shut. The engine had roared. And Finn was gone. That was 3 nights ago. Now the rain was washing the tears from Wren's face before they could fall, and her bare feet were so cold they'd stopped hurting, and the white van was circling closer, and she knew with the terrible certainty that only a 6-year-old who's been abandoned by every adult she's ever known can have that. If she didn't move right now, she'd be in that van too. She thought about Mama, about the last thing Mama had said before the cancer took her voice completely. Be brave, little bird. Be brave even when it's hard. Wren pulled Hope tighter to her chest, took a breath that hurt her lungs, and ran. She ran through alleys she'd memorized with Finn, past the boarded-up laundromat where they'd slept last month, past the church that gave out food on Thursdays but called the police if you looked too homeless, past all the places that had been temporary shelters in a life made of temporary everything. 7 blocks. Finn had said 7 blocks to 7th Street. Her feet slapped against wet concrete. Her heart hammered so loud she was sure they could hear it. Behind her, headlights swept the alley. They'd found her. 6 blocks. 5 blocks. The van was getting closer. 4 blocks. 3. Her lungs were burning. Her vision was blurring. But there up ahead she could see them. Row after row of motorcycles gleaming even in the rain. Chrome and leather and power. The Hells Angels clubhouse. 2 blocks. The van was right behind her now. She could hear the engine smell the exhaust. 1 block. A voice behind her. There she is! Cut her off at the corner! Wren's legs were screaming, but she pushed harder, faster, because Finn had died getting her this far, and she wouldn't let him die for nothing. The clubhouse was right there. 50 feet, 40, 30. The van screeched around the corner, trying to cut her off. 20 feet. A man was standing outside the clubhouse door, smoking a cigarette. Massive. 6'3" at least, with shoulders that looked like they could carry the world. His leather vest had patches on it, colors that meant something in a language Wren didn't understand. His face was hard-weathered, the kind of face that had seen violence and returned it with interest. 10 feet. The van door opened. Someone was reaching for her. 5 feet. The man at the clubhouse door looked up. His eyes met hers. Gray eyes, storm eyes, And Ren made the choice that would change both their lives forever. She stopped running away. She ran toward him, toward the scariest looking man she'd ever seen in her life. And when she reached him, her bare feet bleeding on the concrete, her dress torn, her lips split from where Mr. Morrison had hit her 3 weeks ago, she looked up at this stranger and asked the question that had been building in her chest since Mama died. "Can you be my father?" The man stared at her, cigarette frozen halfway to his mouth, rain dripping off the brim of his cap. Behind Ren, the van's brakes squealed. Doors opened. Footsteps. She grabbed onto the man's leather vest with both hands, her knuckles white around hope. "Please, mister, the bad men took my friend Finn. They said little girls like me fetch good prices. They're coming to take me too. Please. I'll be good. I won't eat much. I can clean. Just please don't let them take me." The man's eyes went from her face to the van behind her. Something changed in his expression. Something cold and dangerous. He dropped his cigarette, crushed it under his boot, and when he spoke, his voice was gravel and thunder. "Get behind me." Ren didn't hesitate. She pressed herself against his legs, and he stepped in front of her like a wall. The van men stopped 5 feet away. 3 of them. The one in front had a scar on his neck, shaped like lightning. "Evening, lightning scar," said, voice smooth as oil. "We're looking for a runaway, little girl about 6. Blonde hair. You seen her?" The man with the storm eyes didn't move, didn't blink. "Get off my property. Now, we don't want any trouble. Then leave." Lightning Scar's smile faded. "That girl's a runaway from foster care. We've got legal authority to retrieve her." "Show me paperwork." "It's in the van." "Then you don't have it, which means you're trespassing. You've got 10 seconds to get back in that van and drive away." Lightning Scar's hand moved toward his jacket. The clubhouse door opened. 6 more men stepped out. All of them big. All of them wearing the same leather vests with the skull and wings. All of them looking at the van men like wolves looking at prey. Lightning Scar's hands stopped moving. 10 seconds, the man with storm eyes repeated. 9, 8. The van men backed up, slow, careful. "This isn't over," Lightning Scar said. "We know she's here. We'll be back." 7, 6. They got in the van, and when we come back, we'll bring people you can't scare off. Police, social services, people who will take that girl away and you won't be able to do a damn thing about it. 5, 4. The van peeled out, tires screaming, engine roaring, and then they were gone. Ren stood there shaking, still pressed against the man's legs. She'd stopped breathing somewhere around 8, and now her lungs remembered they needed air, and she gasped huge gulping breaths that turned into bombs. The man turned around, looked down at her. Up close, he was even more terrifying. Scars on his knuckles, tattoos creeping up his neck, a face that looked like it had been broken and put back together more than once. But his eyes were different now. Not cold, not hard, sad, impossibly sad. "Kid," he said, and his voice was gentler now. "What the hell just happened?" Ren tried to answer, tried to explain. But everything she'd been holding inside for 3 days, for 3 weeks, for 3 years came pouring out all at once, and all that came out was crying. The man looked at the other bikers. One of them, older, with a gray beard down to his chest, nodded. "Bring her inside, Reaper. Get her warm. Then we'll figure this out." Reaper, that was his name. Or what people called him anyway. Death, the end of things. But when he held out his massive hand to Ren, when she put her tiny fingers in his palm, she didn't feel like she was touching death. She felt like maybe finally she'd found something that could keep death away. "Come on, little bird," Reaper said. "Let's get you out of the rain." And Ren, who had learned not to trust any adult ever again, who had built walls around her heart so high nothing could get through, looked up at this man who looked like nightmares and felt something crack open inside her chest. Something that felt dangerously like hope. She nodded and followed him inside. The Hells Angels clubhouse smelled like motor oil, leather cigarettes, and something cooking in a back room that made Ren's empty stomach clench with hunger. The walls were covered with photographs, patches, and memorabilia she didn't understand. A bar ran along one side, pool table in the corner. Everything was worn and lived in and real in a way the foster homes never were. Reaper led her to a booth, worn red leather, duct tape on one corner where the stuffing showed through. Sit, he said. Wren sat. Hope clutched so tight the doll's fabric stretched. The other men formed a loose semicircle, not threatening, just watching. Their faces showed the same thing Reapers had outside. That mixture of confusion and concern and something that looked like anger but wasn't aimed at her. The older man with the gray beard crouched down so he was eye level with Wren. His eyes were kind, grandfather eyes. My name's Garrett, but most folks call me Grizzly. What's your name, sweetheart? Wren. Her voice came out barely a whisper. Wren Harper. That's a beautiful name, like the bird. She nodded. And who's this? Grizzly gestured at the sock doll. Hope, my mama made her. Your mama's got good hands. Where is she now? Wren's eyes filled with tears. Heaven, the cancer took her when I was 3. The room went very quiet. Grizzly's jaw tightened. He nodded slowly. I'm sorry, Wren. I'm real sorry about that. It's okay. It was a long time ago. 3 years. 3 years was forever when you were 6. Reaper came back from the bar with a glass of chocolate milk and a plate with a grilled cheese sandwich. He set them down in front of Wren. She stared at them like they might be a trick, like they might disappear if she reached for them. It's okay, Reaper said, his voice still that gentle rumble. It's for you. Go ahead. I've never had chocolate milk before. The words just slipped out. She hadn't meant to say them, hadn't meant to reveal that particular piece of her brokenness. But the men heard, and something in the room changed. The air got heavier, harder. A man who had to be 6'4" with a red beard that reached his chest stepped forward. Irish accent, thick as fog. Never had chocolate milk, his voice was incredulous. You're 6 years old and you've never had chocolate milk. Wren shook her head, shrinking back. The big man's face softened immediately. Hey, no, little one, I'm not angry at you. I'm angry at whoever's been taking care of you that you've never had chocolate milk. That's a crime, that is. He pulled out a chair and sat down, making himself smaller, less threatening. Name's Pete, but everyone calls me Demon. I know sounds scary, but I promise I'm one of the good demons. Despite everything, Wren felt her lips twitch, almost a smile. There she is, Demon said. Go on now, try the chocolate milk. And the sandwich, you're safe here. Wren reached for the glass with shaking hands, brought it to her lips, tasted. Sweetness exploded on her tongue, rich and creamy, and nothing like the powdered milk at the foster homes or the water she'd been drinking from gas station bathrooms for 2 weeks. She drank half the glass before she could stop herself. Then she looked at the sandwich. Perfectly golden. Cheese melted just right. The kind of simple, perfect thing that most kids took for granted and kids like her dreamed about. She picked it up, took a tiny bite, then another bite. Then she was eating like she hadn't seen food in days, which wasn't far from the truth. The men watched, silent. Their faces said everything their mouths didn't. When she'd eaten half the sandwich and finished the milk, Wren finally looked up. Reaper was sitting across from her in the booth, watching her with those storm gray eyes. Better? He asked. She nodded. Good. Now, Wren, I need you to tell me what happened. All of it. Can you do that? Wren looked at Hope. Mama had always said Hope would listen to her secrets, would keep them safe. But maybe it was time to tell someone who could do more than listen. She took a breath and started talking. My mama was Adeline Harper. She named me Wren after my grandma. She was the best mama in the world. She made pancakes shaped like animals and sang songs and never got mad when I spilled things. The words came easier once she started, like a dam breaking. When I was 3, she got sick. Cancer. The doctors tried, but it was too fast. She made hope for me the day before she went to the hospital the last time. Told me hope meant believing tomorrow would be better, even when today was really hard. Grizzly nodded. Your mama was a smart woman. After Mama went to heaven, they put me in the system. Foster care. First family was okay. Mrs. Patterson. She was nice. But she was old, and she got sick too, and they moved me. Wren's voice got smaller. Second family wasn't nice. Mr. Gregory yelled a lot, threw things. I was only there 3 months. Third family, the Johnsons, they had 4 other foster kids. They only wanted the checks, never enough food, never enough beds. She was looking at the table now at Hope's button eyes because looking at the men would make it too real. And then they placed me with Mr. Robert Morrison. The temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. At first he seemed nice. Big house, my own room, good food. He said I was special, that I was his special little bird. Ren's hands tightened on Hope. But the way he said it felt wrong. And he touched my hair a lot, all the time. Said it was pretty like angel hair. Would brush it for me, even when I said I could do it myself. Reaper's jaw clenched so tight Ren could hear his teeth grinding. He came to my room at night, said he was checking if I was asleep. But I wasn't asleep. I was pretending, and I'd watch him through my eyelashes. Her voice dropped to barely a whisper. He took pictures of me on his phone. Lots of pictures. And he had a red notebook. He'd write in it and draw pictures of me and put numbers next to them. Big numbers. One night I heard him on the phone. He said, "The Harper girl is ready. Premium pricing. Boss will be pleased." I didn't know what that meant, but it scared me. Ren finally looked up, met Reaper's eyes. So I ran, 3 weeks ago, packed Hope in one extra dress and ran in the middle of the night. I'd rather be on the streets than in that house with him. Nobody spoke. The only sound was rain on the roof and someone's labored breathing. Finally, Grizzly said, "You did the right thing, Ren. Running was brave." But I didn't know what to do after. I didn't know where to go, and I slept behind the Sunshine Diner the first night. That's where I met Finn. And now she smiled, a real smile, small but genuine. Finn O'Sullivan. He's 10. He's been on the streets for 4 years. Since he was 6, he found me behind the dumpster and said, "You're new at this, huh?" And I said yes, and he said, "Okay, I'll teach you." The smile got a little bigger. Finn taught me everything. Where to find food, which restaurants throw out good stuff after 9 p.m., which shelters are safe, and which ones call the cops on kids, where to sleep, how to stay hidden. He taught me to check dumpsters behind Italian restaurants because they throw out the best pasta. Taught me that church vans give out food, but to watch for men who smile too much because some of them are traps. Taught me never to sleep in the same place twice because bad people track patterns. Ren's voice filled with warmth, with love. Finn said we were family, that street kids who look out for each other are stronger than real families because we choose each other. He called me his little sister, said he'd never let anything bad happen to me. The smile faded. But he couldn't stop what happened 3 nights ago. Ren closed her eyes, remembered. We were in the alley behind the old factory, the abandoned one with the broken blue sign. It was late, maybe 10 o'clock. Finn was teaching me constellations. He knew all the stars. Then we heard the van. Her breathing got faster. White van, no windows in the back. It had a little dent on the left side near the headlight. License plate started with 7K something. I remember because Finn made me memorize it. He said, "Always remember details. Details keep you alive." 4 men got out. The one in front had a scar on his neck, shaped like lightning. The driver wore a college ring with a blue stone. They said they were from a church, said they wanted to help us, had sandwiches. But Finn had told me about them, about the van men, about how kids went with them and never came back. 6 kids in 3 months. Sarah, Lucas, Maria, all gone. Ren's voice cracked. Finn told me to hide. Hide behind the dumpster and don't come out no matter what. So I did. I hid. And I watched. Tears were streaming now. They asked Finn where I was. He said he didn't know. They didn't believe him. They grabbed him. He fought. He kicked and screamed and bit, and they still got him in the van. The man with the lightning scar leaned down and said, "Tell us where the little blonde girl is and we'll let you go." And Finn spit in his face. Pride and grief mixed in Ren's voice. The man laughed, said, "Doesn't matter. We'll find her. Boss wants fresh inventory. Little girls like that one fetch premium prices." Then they threw Finn in the van and drove away. Ren was sobbing now, the kind of crying that hurt, that pulled from somewhere deep inside. He let them take him to save me. My best friend, my brother. He sacrificed himself, and I just hid. I just hid and watched and did nothing. Reaper reached across the table. His massive hand covered both of hers. You did what he told you to do. You survived. That's what he wanted. But they have him now. They've had him for 3 nights, and I don't know what they're doing to him. I don't know if he's scared or hurt or if he's still. She couldn't say the word. And then tonight they came back, circling, hunting. I knew if they found me, I'd be in that van with Finn, or wherever Finn is now. Ren looked up at Reaper, really looked at him. This man who was Death's nickname, made flesh but whose hands were gentle on hers. Finn told me if the bad men ever came, run to the Hell's Angels. He said you were scary but good. He said you protect kids nobody else cares about. He said you always keep your word. She gripped his hand tighter. So I ran. I ran 7 blocks with them chasing me, and I came here and I asked you to be my father because I don't have anyone else. No mama, no family, no home, just hope. She held up the sock doll. And Finn said if you ask the angels for help, they say yes, so I'm asking. Please help me find Finn. Please don't let them take me too, please. Her voice broke completely. I'll be so good, I promise. I won't eat much. I can clean. I'm quiet. I won't be trouble. I just need someone to want me. Just one person. Please. The clubhouse was silent except for Ren's crying and the rain and somebody's chair scraping as they stood up and walked away quickly, their boots heavy on the floor. Reaper didn't move, didn't speak, just held her hands and let her cry. Finally, Grizzly said, voice rough, Demon, get the girl more food. Wheels, call the others. Tell them we have a situation. Smoke, lock the doors. Nobody comes in or out until we figure this out. He looked at Reaper. And you, Reaper, take the girl to the back room. Get her somewhere comfortable. We need to talk about this, all of us. Church meeting, 15 minutes. Reaper nodded. He stood and Ren's hands fell away from his suddenly cold. He looked down at her. Come on, little bird. Let's get you somewhere you can rest. Ren slid out of the booth. Her legs were shaking. Everything was shaking. Reaper walked toward a back room and Ren followed because what else could she do? Where else could she go? The room was small. A couch, a TV, some chairs, posters on the walls of motorcycles and places she'd never been. Reaper pointed at the couch. Sit, I'll be right back. He returned a minute later with a blanket, gray and worn but clean. He draped it over her shoulders. You're shivering. I'm always cold now. Something flickered in his eyes. Pain, maybe. He sat in the chair across from her, leaned forward, elbows on his knees. Ren, I need to ask you some questions. Can you answer them? She nodded. These van men, you said one had a scar like lightning. What else do you remember? Ren closed her eyes. Finn's voice in her head, details keep you alive. The van had a small dent on the left side near the headlight. The license plate started with 7K, maybe 7KR or 7KP, I'm not sure. Good, that's good. What about the men? Lightning Scar Man was tall, maybe 6 feet, dark hair. The driver had blonde hair, short, and that college ring with the blue stone. Third man had a tattoo on his wrist. Numbers, like a date. 031296, I think. Reaper stared at her. You remember all that? Finn said smart girls notice everything. He made me practice. Every night we'd play a game where we'd look at something for 10 seconds, then I had to describe it. He said it would keep me safe someday. Finn sounds like a smart kid. The smartest. He taught me to read better, and math, and about stars, and how to tell if food's still good even after it's been thrown out, and which cops will help you, and which ones will just send you back to wherever you ran from. Ren hugged Hope tighter. He said the world forgets about kids like us, so we have to remember each other. Reaper was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, Ren, I'm going to talk to my brothers, the men out there. We're going to figure out how to help you. But I need you to stay here. Don't leave this room. Don't open the door for anyone except me or Grizzly. Understand? Fear spiked through her. You're leaving. Just to the next room, 10 feet away, you'll be able to hear us talking. What if the van men come back? There are 47 Hell's Angels in this building right now. The van men aren't getting through that door. You're safe here. I promise. Promises. Adults made promises all the time. They never kept them. But Wren looked at Reaper's face at the scars and the hard edges, and the eyes that had seen terrible things, but were looking at her like she mattered and she wanted to believe. Okay, she whispered. Reaper stood, walked to the door, stopped. Wren, well, yeah, what you did tonight, coming here, asking it for help, that took guts. More guts than most adults have. You should be proud of yourself. Something warm bloomed in Wren's chest. Nobody had ever said they were proud of her, not since Mama. Thank you, she said. Reaper nodded and left, closing the door behind him. Wren sat on the couch, wrapped in the blanket, holding hope, and listened to the rumble of male voices through the wall. For the first time in 3 weeks, she wasn't running. For the first time in 3 years, maybe longer, she felt something like safe. But safe was dangerous. Safe made you hope. And hope was the worst thing because when it broke you too. Wren pressed her ear to the wall and listened. The church meeting room was exactly what it sounded like. Sacred space. The place where the Hells Angels made decisions that mattered. No outsiders, no exceptions. Until tonight. Tonight, 47 men crowded into a room meant for 30, and every single one of them was thinking about the 6-year-old girl in the next room who'd asked a complete stranger to be her father. Grizzly stood at the head of the table. Garrett Blackwood, 58 years old, president of the Cedar Falls chapter for 15 years, Gulf War veteran with 2 Purple Hearts and enough scars to prove it, married to Betty for 37 years, father of 3, grandfather of 2, and haunted by the one grandchild he couldn't save. He looked at the assembled brothers, saw the same expression on every face, fury barely contained. All right, Grizzly said, let's talk about what just happened. Demon spoke first. That little girl just described a trafficking operation. Organized, professional. They've been taking kids for months. 6 kids in 3 months, Smoke Johnson added. He was 54, former Army, the club's tactical mind. That's not amateurs, that's a pipeline. And they're not done, Wheels Murphy said. Irish like Demon, but older, grayer, steadier. The club's mechanic and its conscience. They wanted the girl specifically, called her inventory, talked about pricing. The room growled, literally growled like a pack of wolves scenting blood. Easy, Grizzly said. We all want blood, but we need information first. Reaper, what did you get from the kid? Reaper stood. Colt Hawthorne, 48 years old, 22 years wearing the patch. The club's enforcer, the man they sent when violence was the answer and the question. He'd earned his road name the hard way. Multiple ways, actually. But the name stuck because when Reaper showed up, it usually meant someone's story was ending. Tonight, though, his voice was careful, controlled. She gave me details, good details. Van description, partial license plate, physical descriptions of 4 men involved. He laid out what Wren had told him. The scar, the ring, the tattoo numbers, the specific words the men had used. This kid's got a memory like a photograph, Reaper said. She notices everything, remembers everything, and she's smart. Finn O'Sullivan, the 10-year-old who got taken, taught her surveillance skills, taught her to memorize details. Who's this Finn kid? Someone asked. 10 years old, homely since he was 6. Took Wren under his wing when she ran from her foster home 3 weeks ago. Taught her how to survive on the streets. He's the one who told her to come to us if she was in trouble. Grizzly's eyebrows rose. Smart kid. Where is he now? The van. They took him 3 nights ago. He sacrificed himself so Wren could escape. Let them grab him while she hid. Silence. Then Demon said, 10 years old, and he gave himself up to save a 6-year-old. That's a warrior, that is. Murmurs of agreement. So we've got 2 kids involved, Grizzly said. 1 missing, 1 here. What do we know about the operation? Smoke stood. He'd been taking notes. From what the girls said, we're looking at 1 white van, no windows dent on left front plate starting $7K. 2. At least 4 operators, professional enough to target specific kids. 3. They mentioned a boss. Organization has hierarchy. 4. They used the word inventory and talked about pricing. This is trafficking, not just kidnapping. 5. They're hunting specifically for Wren. They came back 3 times. That's not random. Why her specifically? Someone asked. Reaper's jaw tightened. She told me about her foster father, Robert Morrison, said he was grooming her, touching her hair, coming to her room at night, taking pictures, keeping a notebook with her drawings and numbers. The room went dead silent. She overheard Morrison on the phone, Reaper continued. He called her the Harper girl and said she was ready and mentioned premium pricing and the boss being pleased. Jesus Christ, Wheels whispered. Morrison wasn't just abusing her, Smoke said. He was preparing her for sale. Grizzly's hands curled into fists. And when she ran before he could deliver, they sent the van men to collect. She was never safe, Reaper said. Not in the system, not in foster care. Morrison was placed as her guardian specifically to prep her for trafficking. She was selected. The rage in the room was palpable now. 47 men who'd all lived hard lives, who'd all seen darkness, who'd all done things they weren't proud of. But there were lines. And hurting kids was so far over the line it wasn't even visible from there. We have to help her, Demon said. We can't just... I know, Grizzly said. But we need to think this through. This isn't just rescuing one kid. This is taking on an organization that's connected enough to place operatives in the foster system. That's institutional corruption. Since when do we care about that? Someone called out. Since we became smart enough to not go to prison for life, Grizzly shot back. I want to help this girl, believe me. But we do it right, we do it smart, or we end up dead or in jail and she ends up back in the system that failed her. He looked at Reaper. What do you think? All eyes turned to the enforcer. Reaper was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, I think that little girl walked 7 blocks in the rain with traffickers chasing her because a 10-year-old told her we were the good guys. I think she's 6 years old and has never had chocolate milk. I think she's been abandoned by everyone who was supposed to protect her. I think she asked me to be her father. His voice went rough. And I think if we turn her away, if we say this is too complicated or too dangerous or too much of a risk, then we're no better than everyone else who failed her. Silence. Then Grizzly smiled, small, sad, proud. That's what I thought you'd say. He looked around the room. All right, we vote, standard rules, majority decides. The question is, do we help Ren Harper? Define help, someone said. Are we talking about finding the kid Finn, taking down the trafficking ring? What? All of it, Reaper said. We find Finn, we stop these bastards, and we make sure Ren is safe, really safe permanently. That's a lot, Wheels said quietly. That's taking on law enforcement's job. That's potentially kidnapping in the eyes of the state since she's legally a ward of the system. That's war with people who have institutional power. I know, Reaper said, but she came to us. Not the cops, not social services, us. That means something. Grizzly let the moment sit. Then he said, Reaper's right. She came to us. Now we decide if we're worthy of that trust. All in favor of helping Ren Harper say aye. The response was immediate. 45 voices saying aye. 2 abstentions. Opposed. Silence. Motion carries, Grizzly said. We helped the girl. Now let's figure out how. While the men deliberated in the next room, Ren pressed her ear to the wall and listened. She couldn't hear the words clearly, just the rumble of voices, rising and falling like waves. But she could hear the tone, and the tone was angry, not at her, for her. She pulled back from the wall and looked at Hope. They're talking about us, she whispered to the doll. They're deciding if they'll help. Hope's button eyes stared back. Mama had sewn them on crooked because her hands were shaking so bad from the chemo. But Ren loved them that way. They made Hope look surprised, like she was always seeing the world fresh. What if they say no, Ren asked. Hope didn't answer. Hope never answered. But sometimes talking to her made Ren feel like Mama was still listening. Finn said they'd help. He said Hell's Angels protect kids. But what if he was wrong? What if the door opened? Ren jumped, clutching Hope. It wasn't Reaper. It was Demon. The giant Irishman with the red beard and the kind eyes. He held a plate. Chocolate chip cookies. Thought you might want dessert, he said. Ren stared at the cookies. When was the last time she'd had cookies? It's okay, Demon said. They're not poisoned or anything. My wife makes them. Betty, she's Grizzly's wife. Best baker in Cedar Falls. He set the plate on the coffee table and sat in the chair Reaper had used, made himself small and unthreatening. Can I talk to you for a minute, little Wren? She nodded, not trusting her voice. I'm going to tell you something true, and it might be scary, but you deserve honesty. You've had enough lies. Yeah, another nod. Those men out there, Demon gestured at the wall. They're voting right now, voting on whether to help you. And I know that's terrifying. I know you're waiting to hear if 47 strangers are going to say yes or tell you to get lost. Wren's eyes filled with tears. But here's what you need to know. I've been with this club for 23 years. I've seen us vote on a lot of things. Business deals, territory disputes, whether to go to war with other clubs. He leaned forward. And I have never not once seen a vote that was this unanimous this fast. You walked into that room and asked for help, and every single man in there felt it. Right here. He pressed his fist to his chest. See, little Wren, we're not good men. Not really. We've done things, bad things. We've made mistakes. We've hurt people who probably didn't deserve it. We've broken laws and broken promises and broken ourselves more times than we can count. His voice got softer. But there are lines we don't cross, and hurting kids is so far over that line we can't even see it. And when a kid comes to us asking for help, scared and alone and brave as hell, we don't turn them away. We can't. Because if we do, then what's the point of anything? A tear rolled down Wren's cheek. They're going to say yes, little Wren. They've probably already said yes. And once they do, once they say yes, that's it. You're one of us, and we take care of our own. Always. Wren's voice came out tiny. Why, you don't even know me. Don't need to know you deserve better than what you've had. Don't need to know you to know that a 6-year-old walking 7 blocks in the rain to ask for help is the bravest thing I've seen in a decade. He stood up, walked to the door, stopped. And between you and me, Reaper's already decided. He's already claimed you as his, even if he doesn't know it yet. And when Reaper decides something, heaven and hell both move aside. Then he was gone. Wren sat there, processing. She picked up a cookie, bit into it. Chocolate and sugar and something that tasted like care exploded on her tongue. She ate the whole thing, then another. And she waited. 20 minutes later, the door opened again. This time it was Reaper. He looked at her, really looked at her, like he was memorizing her face. Then he said, "Come on, little bird. There are some people who want to talk to you." Wren stood, legs shaking. She followed Reaper back to the main room. All 47 men were there, standing, waiting. Grizzly stepped forward. "Wren Harper," he said, voice formal but kind. "We've voted, and we've decided to help you, all of us. We're going to find Finn. We're going to stop the men who took him, and we're going to make sure you're safe." The relief was so strong Wren's knees buckled. Reaper caught her. "But," Grizzly continued, "we need more information. We need to know everything you remember, every detail. Can you help us?" "Yes," Wren whispered. "Yes, he can help." "Good girl." A young man stepped forward, 28 maybe, thin, glasses, computer bag over his shoulder. He looked nothing like the other bikers, more like a college student who'd wandered into the wrong bar. "This is Marcus," Grizzly said, "but we call him Pixel. He's our tech guy. He's going to ask you some questions. Is that okay?" Wren nodded. Pixel set up a laptop on the bar. "Hey, Wren, I'm going to show you some pictures. I need you to tell me if any of them look like the van or the men you saw." "Okay." "Okay." For the next 30 minutes, Wren looked at pictures, vans, license plates, faces, and she remembered. "That one." She pointed at a white cargo van. "That's the right make. But the dent should be here." She indicated the spot. Pixel typed, "Good, really good. What about the men?" He showed her faces, hundreds of faces. "No, no, no, maybe no, yes." She pointed at a photograph. "The man had a scar on his neck shaped like lightning. That's him. That's the man who took Finn." Pixel's fingers flew across the keyboard. "Got him. Derek Vance, known associate of..." "Oh, shit." He looked at Grizzly. "Grizzly, you need to see this." Grizzly came over, looked at the screen. His face went hard. "Son of a bitch." "What?" Reaper asked. Grizzly turned the laptop around. On the screen was a photo of an older man, 55 maybe, graying hair, expensive suit, smile that didn't reach his eyes. That's Victor Kane, Grizzly said, former supervisor for Child Protective Services. He was fired 6 years ago for irregularities, meaning they suspected him of something but couldn't prove it. Pixel typed more. And according to this, Derek Vance works security for Kane's private foundation, a charity supposedly helping at-risk youth. Let me guess, Smoke said. The charity's a front. Looking that way, Wren stared at the photo of Victor Kane. Something tickled at the back of her memory. I know him, she said, every head turned. What? Reaper said. I know him. He came to my foster house when I was with Mrs. Patterson. Before Morrison. The room went deadly quiet. He had a folder with my name on it. He asked me questions. Do you have family? Do you make friends? Easy? Are you a good girl? He smiled, but his eyes were cold, like a shark. Pixel was typing frantically. If Kane visited her, if he had a file on her, oh my God. He looked up. Wren, when did Kane visit you? Maybe a year ago, right before they moved me to Mr. Morrison's house. And Morrison started grooming you immediately. Wren nodded, not understanding, but knowing it was important. Pixel turned to Grizzly. Kane selected her. He evaluated her as a CPS supervisor, flagged her as a target, then placed her with Morrison, who's part of the trafficking ring. She wasn't random. She was selected from inside the system. The implications crashed over the room like a wave. How many? Wheels asked. How many kids did Kane select? I don't know, Pixel said. But if he had 6 years of access to CPS files and he was cherry-picking vulnerable kids with no family connections, he didn't finish. Didn't need to. Grizzly's face was carved from stone. Find out. I want to know how deep this goes. How many kids? How many foster parents are involved? All of it. On it. Reaper looked at Wren. You said Kane had a file on you. Do you remember anything else? Anything he said or did? Wren thought hard, closed her eyes, let Finn's voice guide her. Details keep you alive. He took pictures of me on his phone, made me smile, made me turn around like modeling pictures. Catalog photos, Demon said, voice sick. He was building a catalog. And he got a phone call. Wren continued, eyes still closed, remembering. He put it on speaker, a man's voice, deep and raspy, like he smoked a lot. The voice said, how's the Harper girl? And Mr. Kane said, perfect candidate, blonde, compliant, small for her age. Premium pricing. Wren opened her eyes. Then he hung up and smiled at me and said, you're going to make a lot of people very happy, little bird. The room was silent. Finally, Reaper said, voice dangerous, little bird. He called you little bird. Wren realized. That's what you called me when you brought me inside. Yeah, it is. Something passed between them. Understanding, connection, a sense that fate had been working behind the scenes all along. Grizzly cleared his throat. Pixel, the voice on the phone, deep and raspy. Can you cross-reference people Kane's connected to with that description? Already on it. Pulling phone records, associates, known contacts. Pixel's eyes widened. Oh no, oh no, no, no. What? Pixel turned the laptop around again. This time the photo was of a man in his early 60s. Silver hair, strong jaw, American flag pin on his lapel. That's Senator Richard Blake, Pixel said. He donated $500,000 to Kane's foundation 3 years ago. And according to these leaked emails, he's been in regular contact with the Kane ever since. Wren looked at the photo, at that face, and gasped. That's him. That's the voice I saw him. What? At Mr. Morrison's house 3 weeks ago, right before I ran, I was supposed to be in bed, but I heard voices and I hid in the hallway closet and I saw Senator Blake give Mr. Morrison money. Cash, a lot of it. Her voice shook, but she kept going. And he said, keep her compliant. Shipment date is flexible, but don't damage the merchandise. Then they both laughed. Wren looked around the room at all the shocked faces. I'm the merchandise, she said. They were talking about selling me. Nobody spoke. Then Grizzly said very quietly, that changes everything. How? Someone asked. Because now we're not just fighting traffickers. We're fighting a United States senator. The weight of that settled over them. So what do we do? Demon asked. Grizzly looked at Reaper, at Ren, at all his brothers. We do what we always do, he said. We fight, and we win. Because if we don't, this little girl goes back into the system that tried to sell her. And that's not happening. Not while I'm breathing. Murmurs of agreement. But we're smart about it, Grizzly continued. Pixel, I need everything on Kane Blake Morrison and anyone else connected. Financial records, communications properties. All of it. I'll need time. You've got until morning, because we move fast. Those van men said they'd be back with ops and social services. That means tomorrow, maybe the day after. We need to act before they do. Grizzly turned to Ren. Ren, I need you to do something very brave. I need you to tell me everything you remember about where the van men went. Any landmarks, any buildings, anything. Ren thought. The abandoned factory, the one with the broken blue sign, that's where they park sometimes. I saw them there twice. What district? South, near the old warehouses. Smoke stood. I know that area. South Industrial District. Been abandoned for years. Good place to hide a trafficking operation. Low traffic. No witnesses. Can you scout it? Grizzly asked. Tonight. Do it. Take 2 brothers. Stay hidden. Find out if that's where they're keeping the kids. Smoke nodded and left with 2 others. Grizzly turned back to Ren. You've done so good, sweetheart. So good. But I need one more thing. I need you to trust us. Can you do that? Ren looked at all these men, these scary men with their leather and tattoos and hard faces, and she thought about Finn, about how he'd trusted them enough to send her here. She nodded. Good, because starting right now, you're under our protection. Nobody touches you. Nobody takes you. You're family now. He looked around the room. She's family now, he repeated louder. Anyone got a problem with that? 47 men said no. Then it's decided. Ren Harper is under the protection of the Hells Angels Cedar Falls chapter. Spread the word. She's got 47 uncles now who will burn the world down for her. Ren's eyes filled with tears. I have uncles, Demon grinned. 47 of them, little Ren. Biggest, meanest, most loyal uncles you could ask for. And one of them, Grizzly said, looking at Reaper, is about to become something more, if he's willing. Reaper looked at Ren. Ren looked at Reaper. He crouched down, eye level with her. Ren, you asked me to be your father. That's not something I take lightly. I've never been a father. Never wanted to be, honestly. I'm not good at it. I'm rough, and I'm mean, and I've done bad things. Ren's heart sank. But, Reaper continued, you walked 7 blocks in the rain to find me. You trusted me when you had no reason to. You told me your story, and I'll be damned if I let you down. He extended his hand. So yes, little bird, I'll be your father. If you'll have me. Ren stared at his hand, at this man who looked like death but spoke like hope. She put her tiny hand in his massive one. Pinky promise, she whispered. Reaper smiled, really smiled. First time that night. He hooked his pinky with hers. Pinky promise, little bird. You're mine now. And I keep my promises. Ren threw her arms around his neck. And Colt, Reaper, Hawthorne, enforcer for the Hells Angels, the man who'd earned his name bringing endings, held this 6-year-old girl who'd brought him a beginning, and felt something in his chest that he'd thought was dead a long time ago. It felt like purpose. It felt like family. It felt like coming home. 2 hours later, Reaper brought Ren to his cabin. It wasn't much. Small place on the edge of town, surrounded by trees, private, quiet. He'd lived there alone for 12 years, never had company, never wanted it, until tonight. Ren stood in the doorway looking around with wide eyes. This is your house. Yeah, and it's yours too now, if you want it. I can really stay here. Where else would you stay? Ren didn't have an answer for that. In her experience, homes were temporary, conditional, subject to change at any moment. But Reaper said it like it was fact, like there was no question. Come on, he said. I'll show you around. The tour took 3 minutes. Living room, kitchen, 2 bedrooms, bathroom. This one's yours, Reaper said, opening the door to the spare bedroom. It was empty except for a bed and a dresser. No decorations, no personality. But it was clean, and it was real. I don't have much in the way of kid stuff, Reaper said, sounding almost embarrassed. We'll get you things tomorrow. Clothes, toys, whatever you need. I don't need much. You're 6 years old. You need everything. Ren looked at him, really looked at him, this man who'd been a stranger 4 hours ago and was now offering her a home. Thank you, she whispered. Reaper nodded. You hungry, I can make something. They went to the kitchen. Reaper opened the fridge, stared at its contents like they were written in a foreign language. I've got eggs, bread, some cheese. I could make grilled cheese. You know how to cook. I can heat things up. Ren felt a tiny smile. Finn taught me to cook, a little bit. I could help. Something softened in Reaper's face. Yeah, that'd be good. They cooked together, awkward at first, Reaper handling the pan too roughly, Ren showing him how to butter the bread properly, how to keep the heat low so the cheese melted before the bread burned. It was strange, domestic, nothing like the violence and fear of the past few hours. It was normal, and normal was terrifying because normal could be taken away. They ate in silence. Then Reaper said, You should get some sleep. It's late. Tomorrow's going to be a big day. What happens tomorrow? Tomorrow my brothers find the warehouse, and then we go get Finn. Hope surged in Ren's chest. Really, you promise? I promise. There it was again. A promise. How many had she heard? How many had been broken? But Reaper's eyes were steady, certain. Come on, he said, I'll get you settled. In the spare bedroom, her bedroom now, apparently Ren stood awkwardly with Hope. I don't have pajamas, she said. I'll find you something. Reaper came back with one of his t-shirts. It was enormous on her, fell past her knees like a dress. Sorry, he said, it's all I got. It's okay, it's warm. She climbed into bed. The mattress was soft, softer than anything she'd slept on in weeks. Reaper pulled the covers up to her chin. The gesture was clumsy, unpracticed, but it was real. Reaper. Ren's voice was small in the darkness. Yeah, what if they come back, the van men? What if they find me here? Reaper sat on the edge of the bed. The mattress dipped under his weight. Then they go through me first, and I promise you, little bird, nobody gets through me. What if there's a lot of them? Then they go through 47 of us, and we don't go down easy. Ren was quiet. Then can you stay? Just until I fall asleep. Yeah, I can stay. He stood, walked to the chair in the corner, sat. I'm not going anywhere, he said. Sleep, little bird. You're safe here. Ren closed her eyes, clutched Hope to her chest, and slowly and possibly she felt the fear start to ease. The rain had stopped. The night was quiet, and for the first time in so long, Ren Harper felt something she'd almost forgotten. She felt like maybe, just maybe, tomorrow might actually be better. She fell asleep holding that thought. And Reaper sat in the chair watching over her and made a vow that no 6-year-old should ever have to make deals for safety again. Not on his watch, not ever again. Dawn came too early and not early enough. Ren woke to the sound of motorcycle engines, lots of them. The rumble shook the windows, vibrated through the walls, pulled her from dreams of white vans and lightning-scarred men into a reality that was somehow both better and worse. Better because she'd slept in a real bed. Worse because today was the day they'd try to save Finn, and trying meant they might fail. She sat up, Hope clutched to her chest, and listened. The engines were outside. Close, getting closer. Fear spiked through her, the van men. They'd found her. The bedroom door opened. Reaper filled the doorway, backlit by the early morning sun. It's okay, he said, reading her panic. It's just the brothers. They're assembling. Why? Because today's the day, little bird. We found the warehouse. We're going to get Finn. Ren's heart stuttered. You found him. Smoke scouted the location last night, confirmed activity. Guards, multiple vehicles. It's the place. He walked into the room, crouched beside the bed, so he was eye level with her. But before we go, I need you to stay here. With Betty, Grizzly's wife. She's on her way. No. The word came out sharper than Ren intended. I want to come. I know, but it's too dangerous. Finn's my friend, my brother. You should stay safe. Reaper's voice was firm but not unkind. Finn let them take him so you could be safe. If you come with us and something happens to you, his sacrifice means nothing. Wren's eyes filled with tears. But what if something happens to you? Something flickered in Reaper's expression. Surprise, maybe, like he wasn't used to anyone worrying about him. I'll be fine. You can't promise that. No, but I can promise I'll come back. To you. I'll bring a fin home and I'll come back. Pinky promise. Reaper extended his pinky. Wren hooked hers with his. Pinky promise, little bird. Wait for me. Betty Blackwood arrived 20 minutes later in a pickup truck that had seen better decades. She was 62, round in the way of women who've spent lifetimes feeding others, with silver hair, pulled back in a practical bun, and eyes that missed nothing. She took one look at Wren standing on the porch in Reaper's oversized t-shirt, and her face did something complicated, sad and fierce and determined all at once. So you're the one who's got my husband and 250 bikers ready to go to war, Betty said. Wren nodded, uncertain. Betty smiled, warm, real. Good, about time someone shook things up around here. She walked past Wren into the cabin like she owned it, carrying 2 grocery bags. I brought breakfast supplies. Real breakfast, not whatever bachelor nonsense Reaper's been feeding you. He made me grilled cheese, and I bet it was terrible. It was a little burned. Course it was. Man can rebuild an engine blindfolded, but can't work a stove to save his life. Betty set the bags on the counter and started pulling out ingredients. Eggs, bacon, pancake mix, orange juice. Wren watched mesmerized. You just gonna stand there? Or you gonna help? Betty asked. I can help. Good, wash your hands. You're on egg duty. They cooked together, Betty moving with the easy confidence of someone who'd made breakfast for an army multiple times. Wren trying not to break the eggs, trying not to mess up, trying not to disappoint this woman who'd driven over at dawn to take care of a stranger's kid. You know how to crack an egg? Betty asked. Finn taught me. You tap it on the edge and pull apart with both thumbs. Smart kid, this Finn. The smartest. They worked in comfortable silence for a few minutes. Then Betty said casual, so, you asked Reaper to be your father. It wasn't a question. Yes, ma'am. And he said yes. Yes, ma'am. Betty nodded, flipping bacon. You know why that's significant? Wren shook her head. Because Cole Hawthorne has spent 48 years building walls around himself, keeping people out, keeping himself alone. Said he didn't need anyone, didn't want anyone. Betty looked at Wren. Then you showed up and asked one question, and all those walls came crashing down. That's powerful magic, little bird. Reaper calls me that too. I know. It's what you are, small and fierce and braver than most grown men. Wren's throat tightened. I'm not brave. I'm scared all the time. Being scared and being brave are not opposites, honey. Being scared and doing it anyway. That's what brave is. They finished cooking. Set the table. Betty poured orange juice into mismatched glasses. They're going to bring your friend home, Betty said. You know that, right? I hope so. Not hope, no. When Hell's Angels say they're going to do something, it happens. My Garrett, he's been president for 15 years. Never broken a promise to anyone. Not once. What if there are too many bad men? Betty smiled. Fierce. Honey, there's 250 of the meanest, toughest, most loyal men in 3 states riding out this morning. The bad men don't stand a chance. They ate breakfast on the porch, Wren and Betty in mismatched chairs watching the sun climb over the trees. The motorcycles were still there, 50 at least lined up in Reaper's driveway and spilling onto the road. More arriving every few minutes. Wren watched them come, men in leather vests with patches and colors. Different chapters, Betty explained. Different cities. All coming because one little girl needed help. Why are they all helping? Wren asked. Most of them don't even know me. Because one of us called. That's how it works. When a brother puts out the call, everyone answers. No questions. No hesitation. But I'm not a brother. No, you're something better. You're family. And family's thicker than blood. Grizzly's truck pulled up. He climbed out, saw Betty and Wren on the porch, and his weathered face softened. Morning, little Wren. Sleep okay? Yes, sir. Good, that's good. He walked up the porch steps, kissed Betty on the cheek. a gesture so natural and easy it made Wren's chest ache with wanting. "Everything's set?" Betty asked. "Almost. Pixel's doing final checks. Smoke's got the teams organized. We roll in 30 minutes." He looked at Wren. "You remember what I told you last night about being family?" She nodded. "Well, family looks out for each other, which means you stay here with Betty, safe, while we go do what needs doing." "I want to help." "You already did. The information you gave us, that's why we found the warehouse. You helped more than you know." "But," Reaper appeared from inside the cabin. He changed into fresh clothes, combat boots, heavy jacket. He looked ready for war. He looked at Wren, and his expression did something complicated. "I have to go now, little bird." Wren stood, walked to him. She barely came up to his waist. "Promise you'll come back." "I promise." "And you'll bring Finn." "I'll bring Finn." She hugged him, wrapped her small arms around his legs because that's all she could reach. Reaper stood frozen for a second. Then slowly, carefully, he bent down and picked her up, held her against his chest. "You wait here with Betty," he said quietly. "Watch some TV, eat some food. Be a kid for a few hours. I'll be back before you know it. What if you're not? Then I'll be back after you know it. But either way, I'm coming back." He set her down, pulled something from his pocket. "Hope, the sock doll. You forgot this," he said. "Want me to take her for luck?" Wren looked at Hope, her most precious thing, the last piece of Mama. Then she looked at Reaper, her new father, the man riding into danger for a kid he didn't know to save a daughter he'd just met. "Yeah," she whispered, "take her. She'll keep you safe." Reaper tucked Hope into his vest pocket. The doll's head poked out, button eyes staring forward. "I'll guard her with my life," he said, "and I'll bring her back to you." "You better. She's all I have." "No, little bird." Reaper's voice was rough. "She's not all you have anymore." Then he was walking away, climbing onto his motorcycle. The engine roared to life. One by one, the other bikes started. 50 engines, 80, 100. The sound was deafening. Grizzly kissed Betty again. "Keep her safe." "Always do." He climbed onto his bike, raised his fist. The convoy rolled out. 250 motorcycles. The largest gathering Cedar Falls had seen in decades. Wren stood on the porch and watched until the last bike disappeared around the bend. Then the quiet came. Oppressive. Heavy. Betty put her arm around Wren's shoulders. "Come on, honey. Let's go inside. I brought coloring books." But Wren couldn't move, couldn't look away from the empty road. Somewhere out there, Finn was waiting. Somewhere out there, Reaper was riding toward danger, and all Wren could do was wait. The first hour was the hardest. Betty tried everything, coloring books, TV, stories. But Wren couldn't focus, couldn't sit still, couldn't stop thinking about what was happening. Were they there yet? Had they found Finn? Was Reaper okay? She paced, kitchen to living room to porch and back, over and over. "Honey, you're going to wear a groove in the floor," Betty said gently. "I can't stop. If I stop, I'll think too much." Thinking's not always bad. It is when you're thinking about all the ways things could go wrong. Betty sighed, stood. "Okay, new plan. You want to help? Really help?" Wren nodded. "Then help me bake. When I'm worried about Garrett, I bake. Keeps my hands busy. Keeps my mind occupied. And we'll have cookies when everyone gets back. Cookies for 250 bikers. We'll make a lot of cookies." So they baked. Betty directing, Wren measuring and mixing. Chocolate chip, oatmeal raisin, snickerdoodles. The cabin filled with warmth and sweetness. Normal things, safe things. But every few minutes, Wren would stop, listen, hoping to hear motorcycles, hearing only silence. "How long does it take to rescue someone?" Wren asked, rolling dough for the third batch. "Depends on a lot of things." "Like what?" "Like how many guards are there, how they're positioned, whether the kids can walk or need carrying, how fast everyone moves." Betty's voice was practical, calm. She'd done this before, Wren realized. Waited while the men rode into danger. "Have you ever waited and they didn't come back?" Wren asked quietly. Betty was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, "Once, 17 years ago, there was a fight with another club. Bad one. 3 brothers didn't come home. Were you scared? Terrified, but I waited and I trusted. And the ones who could come back did. What happened to the ones who didn't? We buried them with honor. We took care of their families. We remembered them. Betty's hand stilled on the cookie sheet. But that's not going to happen today. Today's different. Today they're not fighting other clubs. They're fighting men who hurt children. And there's nothing more dangerous or shameless than righteous anger. The bad men won't know what hit them. Wren wanted to believe that, wanted to trust that Reaper and Finn would both walk through that door safe and whole. But wanting and getting were different things. She'd wanted Mama to survive the cancer, wanted Mrs. Patterson to keep her, wanted the Johnsons to actually care, wanted Morrison to be a real foster father instead of a monster. Wanting didn't make things true. The TV in the living room suddenly blared. News jingle. Betty, something's on the news. Wren ran to the living room. Betty followed, wiping flour from her hands. On-screen aerial footage. Helicopter camera. The South Industrial District. In chaos. We're getting reports of shots fired at an abandoned warehouse, the reporter said, voice crackling with static. Witnesses report over 200 motorcycles surrounding the building. Police are en route. The image showed smoke, motorcycles in formation, men moving with military precision, and one figure larger than the rest kicking down a door. Wren pressed her hands to the screen. That's him. That's Reaper. Honey, step back. He's there. He's really there. The camera zoomed in, more smoke. Figures running, hard to make out details. Then children. Small shapes being carried out by large men. They're evacuating minors, the reporter said. Unclear what's happening, but it appears to be some kind of rescue operation. They found them. Wren's voice cracked. They found the kids. Betty pulled Wren close. See, I told you, they always come home. But Wren was counting. 1 child, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7. Where was 8? Where was Finn? The camera panned. More figures. Men in suits being led out in handcuffs. And then, a figure emerged from the warehouse. Tall, broad, carrying something, someone. A boy, 10 years old, dark hair, thin, not moving. Finn, Wren breathed. The camera zoomed in on his face, eyes closed, bruised, but breathing. He was breathing. He's alive. Wren was crying now, relief and joy and terror all mixed together. He's alive, Betty. He's alive. Betty was crying too. I see him, honey. I see him. The news continued. More arrests, police arriving, FBI agents. The whole thing spiraling into official chaos. But Wren only cared about 2 people. Finn being loaded into an ambulance. And Reaper standing beside it. Oh, hope the sock doll still visible in his vest pocket. He'd kept his promise. 2 hours later, the motorcycles came back. Wren heard them before she saw them. That familiar rumble growing louder. She ran to the porch. Betty followed. The convoy appeared around the bend. Slower now, tired, but complete. 250 bikes, every single one. They parked, engines cut. The sudden silence was deafening. Men dismounted, dusty, some bleeding from minor cuts, but alive. All of them alive. Grizzly climbed off his bike, saw Betty and smiled, exhausted but real. It's done, he said. Everyone made it back. Everyone. Betty sagged with relief, and then Wren saw him. Reaper, parking his bike, moving slow, carefully pulling hope from his vest pocket. He looked up, saw Wren on the porch. Their eyes met, and Wren ran, flew down the steps, across the yard, threw herself at him with all the force her 6-year-old body could manage. Reaper caught her, lifted her up, held her tight. You came back, Wren sobbed into his neck. You promised, and you came back. Always, little bird, always. And Finn, did you find Finn? We found him. He's at the hospital. He's hurt, but he's alive. Can I see him? Soon. Let me clean up first, then we'll go. He set her down, handed her hope, guarded her with my life, just like I promised. Wren hugged the doll, then hugged Reaper again. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Reaper's hands settled on her head, gentle, protective. You don't have to thank me. This is what family does. An hour later, they were in Reaper's truck driving to Cedar Falls Regional Hospital. Wren sat in the passenger seat, hope clutched to her chest, watching the world go by. Everything looked different now. Brighter, more real. Finn was alive. Reaper was safe. She had a father. "Are you okay?" Reaper asked, glancing at her. "I don't know. I feel like I should be happy, but I'm also scared. Scared of what? That this isn't real. That I'll wake up and still be on the streets. That you'll change your mind." Reaper was quiet for a moment. Then he pulled the truck over, parked on the side of the road. "Look at me, Wren." She did. "This is real. I'm real. You're real. Finn's alive because of you. All of this happened because you were brave enough to ask for help. But what if? No what ifs. I promised I'd be your father. I promised I'd come back. I promised I'd bring Finn home. I kept every promise, and I'll keep every promise I make from now on. That's what fathers do." Wren's eyes filled with tears. "I've never had a father." "I know. What if I don't know how to be a daughter?" Reaper smiled, small but genuine. "Then we'll figure it out together, because I don't know how to be a father. We'll learn." He reached over, took her hand. "Deal? Deal." They drove the rest of the way in comfortable silence. Cedar Falls Regional Hospital smelled like antiseptic and sadness. Fluorescent lights buzzed. Nurses moved with efficient purpose. Everything was sterile and cold. Wren hated it immediately. Hospitals meant mama dying, meant endings. But Reaper's hand on her shoulder steadied her. "He's in room 304, Reaper said, checking with the nurse at the desk. "Third floor." They took the elevator, walked down hallways that all looked the same. White walls, tile floors, that smell that meant sickness and healing mixed together. Room 304. Reaper knocked, opened the door, and there was Finn. Finn O'Sullivan, 10 years old, skinny as a rail, face covered in bruises, left arm in a sling, IV in his right hand, but alive. So alive. "Wren." His voice was rough, cracked, like he'd been screaming. "Finn." She ran to the bed, careful not to jostle him, wrapped her arms around his neck. Finn hugged back with his good arm. "You're okay. You're really okay." "You're okay. I thought I was so scared." They both started crying, holding each other. Two kids who'd survived together. Reaper stood back, giving them space, his face doing that complicated thing again. Finally, Wren pulled back. "Are you hurt bad?" "Broken arm, some ribs. They beat me up pretty good when I wouldn't tell them where you were." Pride and guilt warred on Wren's face. "You didn't tell." "Course not. You're my little sister. I'd die before I gave you up." "You almost did." "But I didn't, and neither did you. We're survivors, Wren. That's what we do." Finn looked past her to Reaper. "You the biker she found." "I am." "You saved us." "She saved you. She came and asked for help. We just did what she asked." Finn studied Reaper with old eyes, eyes that had seen too much. "You gonna take care of her?" "Yes." "You gonna keep her safe?" "Yes." "You gonna be a real father? Not like the fake ones?" Reaper moved closer, sat in the chair beside the bed. "I'm going to try, every single day." Finn nodded, satisfied. "Good, because she deserves better than what she's had." "I know. And if you hurt her, I'll find a way to hurt you back. I don't care how big you are." Despite everything, Reaper smiled. "Fair enough." The door opened. Grizzly and Betty entered. Finn tensed. More strangers. "Easy, son," Grizzly said, voice gentle. "We're friends. I'm Grizzly. This is my wife, Betty." "Hi, Finn," Betty said, warm as sunshine. "Wren's told us all about you, how you protected her, taught her to survive." Finn relaxed slightly. "Someone had to." Betty sat on the other side of the bed. "Well, you don't have to anymore. Someone's protecting you now." "Who?" Grizzly cleared his throat. "Finn, we need to talk about what happens next. The hospital's been asking about your family, your guardians." Finn's face closed off. "Don't have any. Been on my own since I was 6. "We know, and we're not gonna let you go back to that." "What's that mean?" Betty reached out, took Finn's good hand in hers. "It means we'd like you to come home with us. If you want." Silence, Borstierds. Finn stared at her, then at Grizzly, then at Wren. You're serious. As a heart attack, Grizzly said. We've got a big house. Too quiet since our kids grew up. Could use someone to fill it with noise again. You want to adopt me? If you'll have us. Finn's throat worked. Why? You don't even know me. We know enough, Betty said. We know you're brave. We know you protected Wren. We know you survived 4 years on the streets and still have kindness in your heart. That's all we need to know. Tears rolled down Finn's bruised face. I don't know how to be in a family. Then we'll teach you, Grizzly said. Same way we're teaching Wren and Reaper. Finn looked at Wren. You're really getting adopted by him. Wren nodded. He said yes. He's my daddy now. And they're going to be my parents, Betty said firmly. If you want us. Finn broke, sobbed. 10 years of pain and loneliness pouring out. Betty pulled him into a hug. Careful of his injuries. Let it out, sweetheart. Let it all out. You're safe now. Wren climbed onto the bed, hugged Finn from the other side. We did it, Finn, she whispered. We got families. Real ones. Finn nodded against Betty's shoulder. Yeah, we did. Reaper and Grizzly exchanged glances. Two hardened men watching children heal. It was almost too much to bear. A knock on the door broke the moment. A woman entered. 42, red hair, sharp suit, FBI badge on her belt. I'm Special Agent Kate Brennan, she said. I need to speak with Wren Harper and Finn O'Sullivan. Reaper stood, positioned himself between the agent and the kids. About what happened, about Victor Kane, about Senator Blake. Kate's expression softened. I know you've been through hell, but we need your help to make sure the men who did this never hurt anyone again. Wren looked at Reaper. He nodded. Okay, Wren said, voice small. I'll help. The interview took 2 hours. Kate was gentle, patient, but thorough. She asked Wren about everything. Morrison, Kane's visit, the notebook, the photographs, the conversation she'd overheard. Wren told her everything, every detail, every memory, and Kate recorded it all. Wren, you just gave us evidence that connects Kane directly to child trafficking. And you placed Senator Blake at Morrison's house. That's huge. Will it help? It'll put them away for life. Kate turned to Finn. And you, Finn, you were in that warehouse for 3 days. What did you see? Finn's voice was flat, detached, like he was reporting facts instead of living nightmares. 8 kids total, all in cages, metal cages like for dogs, in the basement. Dark, cold. They fed us once a day, bread and water. He swallowed hard. The man with the scar, Derek Vance. He was the boss there. He talked about shipment dates and buyers. Said we were going to better places. Did you see Senator Blake? Once. He came down to inspect us. That's what Vance called it. Inspection. Blake looked at each of us, checked our teeth, our hands, like we were horses. Kate's pen moved faster. What did he say? He said these will do. Schedule the shipment for Friday. International buyers pay premium. Friday. That was tomorrow. Kate stood. Thank you both. You've been incredibly brave. This evidence is going to save a lot of kids. How many, Wren asked. We don't know yet, but Kane's been running this operation for at least 6 years. Could be dozens, maybe more. The number sat heavy in the room. Dozens of kids, all failed by the system meant to protect them. What happens now? Reaper asked. Now we arrest everyone involved. Kane, Blake, Morrison, Vance. Everyone. And we make sure these kids, she gestured at Wren and Finn, are protected. They are protected, Grizzly said, voice hard. They've got 250 Hell's Angels making sure of it. Kate smiled, sad but genuine. I believe it, but there's legal protection too. I'll make sure CPS fast-tracks your adoption applications. What if they fight it? Reaper asked. What if someone tries to take Wren back? They won't, not after this. The whole system's about to be under investigation. Nobody's going to fight you on keeping these kids safe. Kate walked to the door, stopped, looked back at Wren and Finn. You two are heroes, you know that, right? What you did, the information you provided, the courage you showed. You saved yourselves, and you're going to save a lot of other kids too. Then she was gone. The room fell quiet. Heroes, Finn muttered. We're just kids who wanted to survive. Sometimes that's the same thing, Grizzly said. That evening back at Reaper's cabin, Wren watched the news. The story was everywhere. Massive trafficking ring busted in Cedar Falls, 8 children rescued, former CPS supervisor and U.S. Senator arrested, footage of Kane and Blake in handcuffs, Morrison being led to a police car, aerial shots of the warehouse raid, and then a clip of Wren standing outside the hospital. A reporter had caught her earlier. Are you the girl who helped rescue the children? Wren's face on screen, small, serious. The bad men took my friend. I asked the Hells Angels for help. They said yes. What do you want people to know? That foster kids matter, that we're not invisible. The clip went viral immediately. Hashtag Wren's story trending on every platform. Comments pouring in. This little girl's a hero. We need to reform the foster system now. God bless the Hells Angels for protecting her. Wren stared at the screen, not understanding. Why do they care? She asked Reaper. Because you did something extraordinary. You fought back. You didn't give up. And people respond to that. I was just trying to save Finn. That's what makes it extraordinary. The news continued, interviews with FBI, statements from police. The whole story unraveling in real time. And then Senator Blake's face. Breaking news. Senator Richard Blake found dead in his home. Preliminary reports suggest suicide. The room went cold. Suicide, Reaper said flatly. Sure. You don't think... I think there were people above Blake, people who didn't want him talking, and I think they made sure he couldn't. The implications sank in. So it's not over, Wren whispered. The immediate danger is, Kane's in custody, Morrison too, the warehouse is shut down. The kids are safe. Reaper looked at her. But there are still monsters out there. Always will be. That's scary. Yeah, but you know what's scarier? A 6-year-old girl who walks 7 blocks in the rain to fight them. Despite everything, Wren smiled. Night fell. Wren got ready for bed in her room. Reaper's t-shirt for pajamas. Hope tucked under her arm. Reaper knocked on the doorframe. Hey, you okay? I think so. Today was... a lot. Yeah, it was. He sat on the edge of the bed. The gesture was becoming familiar. Comfortable. Wren, there's something I need to tell you. Fear spiked. What? Nothing bad. Just tomorrow we're going to have to deal with some legal stuff. The adoption process. It takes time, months usually. There are background checks, home studies, a lot of paperwork. But I can stay here with you. Yeah. The court granted me emergency custody. You're staying, but the formal adoption won't be official for a while. How long? 6 months, maybe more. 6 months, half a year of not being sure, of things being temporary. Wren's face must have shown her fear because Reaper added quickly, but that's just paperwork. Far as I'm concerned, you're my daughter right now, today. The paper just makes other people believe it. Promise, promise, pinky promise, blood oath, whatever you need to hear to believe it. Wren held out her pinky. Reaper hooked his with hers. We're family, he said. Starting now, not in 6 months. Now. Okay. Wren's voice was small. Okay. Reaper stood, walked to the door, stopped. Wren, yeah, I love you. I know it's only been 2 days. I know that's weird. But I do. I love you. Wren's throat tightened. Nobody had said those words since Mama. I love you too, Daddy. Reaper nodded, smiled. The real smile. The one that reached his eyes. Get some sleep, little bird. Tomorrow's a new day. He closed the door, left the light on because Wren was still scared of the dark. And Wren lay there, hope clutched to her chest, and thought about how much had changed in 48 hours. 2 days ago, she was homeless and hunted. Now she had a father, a room, a future. Finn was safe. The bad men were arrested, but sleep wouldn't come. Because even though the immediate danger was gone, Wren couldn't shake the feeling that something was still wrong. The news had said Senator Blake was dead. Suicide. But Reaper didn't believe it. And if there were more bad men out there, men with power, men who could make senators disappear, what else could they do? Who else might they hurt? Wren pressed her ear to the wall. Could hear Reaper in the living room. Phone call, voice low and serious. She couldn't make out the words, but the tone was clear. He was worried too. Eventually exhaustion won. Wren's eyes closed. She drifted off. But her dreams were filled with white vans and lightning scars and men in expensive suits who smiled with cold eyes. And a voice whispering, "We always get what we want. Always." She woke with a start, heart pounding. The house was quiet, dark except for her nightlight. Everything was fine. But Wren couldn't shake the fear, because Senator Blake was dead, and whoever killed him was still out there, still powerful, still dangerous, and maybe, just maybe, still coming for her. The next morning, everything changed again. Wren woke to voices, loud, angry. She crept to her door, opened it a crack. Reaper was in the living room, and he wasn't alone. Two men in expensive suits, lawyers by the look of them. "Mr. Hawthorne, we represent concerned parties regarding the minor child currently in your care. Her name is Wren, and she's my daughter. She's a ward of the state, illegally removed from her legal guardian. Her legal guardian was trafficking to her. That's under investigation, until it's proven she needs to be placed in protective custody. She is in protective custody. Mine. You're a felon with an extensive criminal record. Hardly suitable. Get out of my house." The lead lawyer, thin and sharp-faced, smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. "We'll be back. With police, with social workers. And we'll take that girl. It's only a matter of time." They left. Suits pristine, smiles cold. And Wren realized the fight wasn't over. It was just beginning. The lawyer's words hung in the air like smoke after a fire. Toxic. Choking. Wren stood frozen in her doorway. Hope clutched so tight the doll's fabric stretched. She'd heard everything. The threats. The promises to come back. The certainty in those cold voices that she was just property to be reclaimed. Reaper turned, saw her standing there. His face did something complicated. "How much did you hear all of it?" He crossed the room in 3 strides, knelt down so they were eye level. "Listen to me, little bird. Those men don't get to take you. I don't care what they say. I don't care what papers they have. You're mine, and I protect it's mine. But they said, I know what they said, and they're wrong. We just need to prove it." Wren's voice came out small and scared. "How?" "By being smarter than them, by fighting them their way, legal, official, on the record where everyone can see." He stood, pulled out his phone, dialed. "Grizzly, we have a problem." 2 hours later, Reaper's cabin was full of Hell's Angels, and people Wren didn't know. Kate Brennan was there, the FBI agent, along with a woman Wren hadn't met before. Early 40s, sharp eyes, power suit. She moved like someone used to winning. "Wren, this is Rachel Torres," Kate said. "She's a federal prosecutor, one of the best." Rachel crouched down to Wren's level. "Hey there, I've heard a lot about you. Are you going to take me away?" "No, sweetheart. I'm going to make sure nobody can." She stood, addressed the room. "All right, let's talk about what we're facing. Senator Blake's death has activated some very powerful, very scared people. They know Kane is talking. They know Morrison kept records. They know their whole operation is about to be exposed. So they're trying to discredit us," Grizzly said. "Make it look like we kidnapped Wren instead of rescued her." "Exactly. If they can paint the Hells Angels as criminals who stole a child from legal custody, everything else gets questioned. The rescue, the evidence, all of it." Demon slammed his fist on the table. "That's bullshit. We saved 8 kids. "I know, but they're going to fight with lawyers and judges and paperwork, which means we fight back the same way." Rachel pulled out a folder. Thick, official looking. "I've been digging into the legal framework. Robert Morrison was Wren's legal guardian, but his custody was granted based on recommendations from Victor Kane, who we now know was running the trafficking operation. That means Morrison's guardianship was obtained through fraud. Which means it's invalid," Kate added, "which means Wren was never legally his. Which means we didn't remove her from legal custody," Reaper said slowly. "We rescued her from kidnappers." "Exactly," Wheels leaned forward. "But those lawyers who were here this morning, who sent them?" "I'm working on that," Kate said. "But my guess, someone connected to Blake's network. Someone with enough power to hire expensive legal teams and enough to lose that they're willing to fight dirty. Grizzly's jaw set. So what do we do? Rachel's smile was sharp, predatory. We go to court. Tomorrow, emergency hearing. We present evidence. We let a judge see exactly what happened. And we make it so clear, so public, that they can't make this disappear. Will that work? Wren asked, her voice barely a whisper. Rachel looked at her, really looked at her. Wren, I need you to do something very brave tomorrow. I need you to tell your story in front of a judge, in front of everyone. Can you do that? Fear spiked through Wren's chest. Tell everything. Everything that matters. About Morrison, about Kane, about what you overheard. I know it's scary. I know it's hard. But your voice is the most powerful weapon we have. Wren looked at Reaper. He nodded. I'll be right there with you. Every second. She looked at Hope, thought about Finn, about the other kids still out there, about the monsters who thought they could hurt children and never face consequences. Okay, she said, I'll do it. That night, Wren couldn't sleep. She lay in bed staring at the ceiling, replaying every terrible moment. Morrison's hands in her hair, Kane's cold smile, the sound of Finn screaming as they dragged him into the van. Tomorrow she'd have to say it all out loud, in front of strangers, in front of a judge who would decide if she was worth protecting. A soft knock on her door. Come in. Reaper entered. He looked tired, worn, but his eyes were steady. Can't sleep. Wren shook her head. He sat on the edge of the bed. Their routine now. Comfortable. Want to talk about it? I'm scared of tomorrow. Me too. Really? Yeah, I'm scared those lawyers will say the right words, pull the right strings. Find some loophole that lets them take you away from me. Wren sat up. Then why are we doing it? Because hiding doesn't work. Running doesn't work. The only way to beat them is to stand up and fight, show everyone who they really are. What if I mess up? What if I forget what to say? Reaper took her hand. Then you say what you remember. There's no script, no right answer, just your truth. That's all you need. Rachel said my voice is a weapon. It is, the most powerful one we have. Wren was quiet for a moment. Then Daddy, yeah, little Bert. If they take me away tomorrow, if the judge says I have to go back, will you still fight for me? Reaper's grip on her hand tightened. They're not taking you, but if they tried, if they somehow won tomorrow, I'd fight every single day until I got you back. I'd tear down every courthouse in the state. I'd become the nightmare they whisper about. His voice went soft, fierce. You're my daughter. Mine. No judge, no lawyer, no system gets to change that. You understand? Wren nodded. I love you, Daddy. I love you too, little bird. Now get some sleep. Tomorrow we show them what happens when they mess with our family. Morning came too fast and not fast enough. Wren dressed in clothes Betty had bought. Simple blue dress, clean, presentable. She looked like a regular 6-year-old kid. Not like someone who'd survived trafficking rings and lived on the streets and watched her best friend get kidnapped. You ready? Reaper asked. No, but I'm doing it anyway. That's my girl. They drove to the courthouse, the same one where the emergency custody hearing had happened 3 days ago. But this felt different, heavier. The parking lot was packed. News vans, cameras, reporters everywhere. Jesus, Reaper muttered. How did they find out? His phone rang. Grizzly. Turn on the radio, any station. Reaper did. The car filled with a news broadcast. In what's being called the biggest trafficking scandal in state history, federal prosecutors are expected to present evidence connecting the operation to multiple government officials, including the late Senator Richard Blake. Pixel leaked it, Reaper said, understanding. He made sure everyone would be watching. Smart kid, Grizzly said through the phone. Hard to make a girl disappear when the whole country's watching her story. They parked, got out, and immediately the reporters swarmed. Mr. Hawthorne, is it true you're seeking custody? Wren, how do you feel about today? Is it true Senator Blake tried to buy you? Reaper put his arm around Wren, shielded her from the cameras. No comment, get out of the way. But Wren stopped, looked at the cameras, at all those people who wanted to hear her story, and she thought about what Rachel said, about her voice being a weapon. "I want to say something," she said quietly. Reaper looked down at her. "You sure?" She nodded. He stepped back. Let her face the cameras alone. "My name is Wren Harper," she said, voice small but clear. "Bad people tried to hurt me. Bad people who were supposed to protect kids. But I ran away. I found help. And now I'm going to tell everyone what they did, so they can never hurt any kid ever again." The reporters went silent, cameras rolling, recording every word. "Foster kids matter," Wren continued. "We're not invisible, and we deserve families who love us. That's all I want to say." She turned, walked toward the courthouse, Reaper beside her. Behind them, reporters scrambled. Phones out, already sending the clip viral. Hashtag Wren's story exploding across every platform within minutes. The courtroom was packed, every seat filled, people standing in the back. Judge Margaret Sullivan presiding, the same judge who'd granted emergency custody. She looked at the crowd, at the cameras being set up, at the media circus her courtroom had become. "This is a custody hearing," she said, voice sharp. "Not a spectacle, but given the public interest in the serious allegations involved, I'm allowing limited media presence. Anyone who disrupts these proceedings will be removed." "Clear." Murmurs of agreement. "Good. Let's begin." The lawyers from yesterday were there, led by a man named Stuart Whitmore. 50, WASP elite, expensive suit, smile like a shark. "Your Honor," Whitmore began, "we're here because a child was illegally removed from her legal guardian by a criminal motorcycle gang. While we sympathize with Mr. Hawthorne's intentions, the law is clear. Wren Harper belongs in state custody until proper placement can be determined." He made it sound reasonable, logical, like kidnapping was the same as rescue. Rachel stood. "Your Honor, may I respond, please?" Mr. Whitmore's argument assumes Robert Morrison was Wren's legal guardian. But Morrison's custody was obtained through fraud. Victor Kane, then a CPS supervisor, deliberately placed Wren with Morrison as part of a trafficking operation. Morrison was preparing her for sale. That's not guardianship. That's kidnapping. Whitmore's smile didn't falter. "These are serious allegations, but allegations aren't proof. Until Mr. Morrison is convicted." "He confessed," Kate Brennan said from her seat, "this morning. Full confession. Naming Kane as Operation Everything." The courtroom erupted, reporters typing furiously, cameras flashing. Sullivan banged her gavel. "Order buffer." Whitmore recovered quickly. "Even so, that doesn't mean Mr. Hawthorne is suitable. He has an extensive criminal record. Assault, weapons charges. He's a member of an outlaw motorcycle club. And he saved 8 children," Rachel interrupted, "including Wren, while the system that was supposed to protect her was actively selling her." Sullivan held up a hand. "Both of you calm down. I want to hear from the child." Every head turned toward Wren. She sat between Reaper and Rachel, so small in that big courtroom. Hope clutched to her chest. "Wren," Sullivan said gently, "can you come up here, sweetheart?" Wren's legs shook as she stood, as she walked to the witness stand, as a bailiff held out a Bible. "Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?" "I do." She sat. The chair was too big. Her feet didn't touch the ground. Sullivan leaned forward, kind eyes, grandmother eyes. "Wren, I know this is scary, but I need you to tell me what happened, in your own words, starting with Mr. Morrison. Can you do that?" Wren looked at Reaper. He nodded. She looked at Hope. Mama's voice in her memory, "Be brave, little bird." She took a breath and told the truth. "Mr. Morrison was my 4th foster father. He seemed nice at first. Big house, good food. He said I was special." Her voice was steady, clear, like she was reporting facts instead of reliving nightmares. "But the way he said special felt wrong, and he touched my hair a lot, all the time. Said it was pretty like angel hair. Would brush it even when I said I could do it myself." Whitmore started to object. Sullivan silenced him with a look. "Go on, Wren." "He came to my room at night, said he was checking if I was asleep, but I was pretending. I'd watch through my eyelashes. He took pictures of me on his phone, lots of pictures. Made me smile, made me turn around." The courtroom was silent. You could hear breathing. Nothing else. "And he had a red notebook. He wrote in it every night, drew pictures of me, put numbers next to them, big numbers. Rachel stood. Your Honor, we have that notebook. Morrison kept detailed records of every child he prepared for trafficking. Wren's entries spanned 3 months. She held up the notebook. Red, worn, containing horrors no child should ever know about. Sullivan's face went hard. Continue, Wren. One night I heard him on the phone. He was in the hallway, but I could hear through my door. He said, the Harper girl is ready, premium pricing. Boss will be pleased. Wren's voice cracked, but she pushed through. I didn't know what that meant, but it scared me. So I ran. 3 weeks ago, middle of the night, I packed Hope. She held up the doll in one dress and I ran. Where did you go? The streets. I didn't know where else. I slept behind the Sunshine Diner. That's where I met Finn. Wren smiled, small, real. Finn O'Sullivan, he's 10. He'd been on the street since he was 6. He found me and said, you're new at this, and I said yes, and he said, okay, I'll teach you. What did Finn teach you? How to survive, where to find food, where to sleep, which cops would help and which would send you back. He said street kids who look out for each other are family. He was my brother. Past tense. Wren caught it, corrected. Is. He is my brother. What happened 3 nights ago, Wren? And here it was. The moment she'd been dreading. We were in an alley, behind the old factory with the broken blue sign. Finn was teaching me constellations. Then we heard the van. Her breathing got faster. Reaper leaned forward in his seat. White van, no windows, 4 men. The one in front had a scar like lightning on his neck. They said they were from a church, had sandwiches. But Finn told me about them, about how kids went with them and never came back. What did Finn do? He told me to hide behind the dumpster and don't come out. So I did. I hid and watched. Tears now streaming down her face. They asked Finn where I was. He said he didn't know. They grabbed him. He fought so hard. He kicked and bit and screamed, and they still got him in the van. Wren's voice broke completely. The man with the lightning scars said, tell us where the little blonde girl is. And Finn spit in his face. And the man laughed and said, doesn't matter, we'll find her. Boss wants fresh inventory. Little girls like that one fetch premium prices. The courtroom was deathly silent. Finn let them take him. To save me, Wren whispered, and I just hid. I just watched. And for 3 days I didn't know if he was alive or dead, and it was my fault. It wasn't your fault, Wren, Sullivan said softly. None of this was your fault. But if I hadn't run from Mr. Morrison, then you'd be dead or sold. Finn saved you because you were worth saving. Remember that. Wren nodded, wiped her eyes. What happened after they took Finn? I was alone, scared. The van men came back. Twice. Looking for me. I knew if they found me, I'd be in that van too. So what did you do? I remembered what Finn said. If bad men ever come run to the Hell's Angels, they protect kids. So I walked 7 blocks, in the rain, with them chasing me, and I found Mr. Hawthorne. She looked at Reaper. Their eyes met, and I asked him to be my father. Why him specifically? Because Finn said the angels always keep their word, and because when I looked at Mr. Hawthorne, I felt safe, for the first time since Mama died. Sullivan leaned back. One more question, Wren. You mentioned overhearing Mr. Morrison. Was there anyone else you saw or heard? This was it, the moment Rachel had prepared her for. Yes, ma'am, 3 weeks ago, right before I ran, Senator Blake came to Mr. Morrison's house. The courtroom erupted. Whitmore jumped up. Objection, this is hearsay. It's eyewitness testimony, Rachel shot back. Let her finish. Sullivan banged her gavel. Order, Wren, continue. I was supposed to be in bed, but I heard voices. I hid in the hallway closet. I saw Senator Blake give Mr. Morrison money. Cash. A lot of it. Wren's voice was clear now. Strong, every word a hammer blow. And he said, keep her compliant. Shipment date is flexible, but don't damage the merchandise. Then they both laughed. Whoosh, she looked right at Whitmore, right at the cameras. I'm the merchandise. They were talking about selling me, a United States senator. and Mr. Morrison, and Mr. Kane, who visited me before and took pictures and said I was a perfect candidate. The reporters were going crazy, typing, recording. This was the smoking gun, the direct connection between Blake and the trafficking ring. And Wren had just delivered it. Sullivan let the chaos run for a few seconds, then brought down the gavel hard. "Thank you, Wren. You can step down." Wren walked back to her seat. Reaper pulled her close. "You did perfect," he whispered. "How perfect?" Sullivan addressed the courtroom. "I've heard enough. Mr. Whitmore, your argument rests on the assumption that Mr. Morrison was Wren's legal guardian. But the evidence clearly shows he was part of a criminal conspiracy to traffic her. His custody was obtained through fraud by Victor Kane, who has since been arrested and confessed." "Your Honor, I'm not finished. Furthermore, Wren's testimony places Senator Blake directly at the scene discussing her sale. That means this trafficking operation went to the highest levels of state government." Sullivan's voice went hard. "This child was failed by every system meant to protect her. Foster care, social services. The very people who should have kept her safe were preparing to sell her. And when she ran, when she sought help, the only ones who answered were the Hell's Angels." She looked at Reaper. "Mr. Hawthorne, you have an extensive record. You've made mistakes, but you also saved 8 children. You've given this little girl the first safe home she's had in years. And from what I can see, you've done more to protect her than the entire state apparatus." Sullivan picked up her gavel. "I'm ruling that Robert Morrison's custody was obtained through fraud and is therefore invalid. Wren Harper was never his legal ward, which means Mr. Hawthorne did not remove her from legal custody. He rescued her from kidnappers." The gavel came down. "Emergency custody is continued and expanded. Mr. Hawthorne is granted full temporary guardianship pending formal adoption proceedings. And I'm fast-tracking those proceedings. If CPS has any objections, they can file them with a court that hasn't just heard testimony about how thoroughly they failed this child." Whitmore stood. "Your Honor, my clients. Your clients can take their concerns to federal court, because I'm referring this entire matter to the FBI for investigation into who sent you here and why they're trying so hard to discredit the rescue of trafficking victims." Sullivan looked at Whitmore, at the cameras, at everyone watching. "This hearing is adjourned, and let me be clear, anyone who tries to remove Wren Harper from Mr. Hawthorne's care will answer to me personally. Is that understood?" Silence. "Good. We're done here." The gavel fell one final time, and Wren realized she'd won. They'd all won. Outside the courthouse, the scene was chaos. Reporters swarming, questions shouting from every direction. "Wren, how do you feel? Mr. Hawthorne, what's next?" Was Senator Blake really involved? But the Hells Angels were there, 250 strong, forming a protective corridor from the courthouse doors to the parking lot. Wren walked between them, Reaper on one side, Grizzly on the other, 47 uncles making sure nothing touched her. And the reporters got the shot they wanted, the one that would run on every news station in America. A tiny 6-year-old girl walking between giants, protected, safe. Finally, they reached Reaper's truck. He lifted Wren into the passenger seat. "We did it," she whispered. "We really did it. You did it. You stood up and told the truth. That took more courage than anything I've ever done. What happens now?" "Now we go home, have dinner, maybe watch a movie, be a family." Just like that. Just like that. But Kate Brennan appeared at the truck window. "Not quite yet. There's someone who wants to see you, Cedar Falls Regional Hospital. Room 304. Finn was sitting up in bed, still bruised, still healing, but smiling. "Did you do it? Did you win?" Wren ran to him, hugged him carefully. "We won. The judge said I can stay with Reaper. Forever. Forever, forever. Soon as the paperwork's done, 6 months maybe. That's forever in kid time." They laughed, both of them. The sound was pure and real and perfect. Grizzly and Betty entered, Betty carrying a bag from the hospital gift shop. "Finn," Grizzly said, "we talked to the doctors. You're being discharged tomorrow." Finn tensed. "Where am I going?" Betty sat on the bed. "Home with us, if you still want that. You still want me, even after everything, especially after everything. You protected Wren. You survived 3 days in hell. You're exactly the kind of son we want. Finn broke. Happy tears this time. Really, I can really come home with you. Really, we've already set up your room. Garrett built you a bookshelf. Figured a smart kid like you would want books. I've never had my own books before. Then we'll fill that shelf together. Finn looked at Wren. We really did it. We both got families. Real ones, Wren agreed. Forever ones. 6 months passed like a dream. Wren started school, first grade at Cedar Falls Elementary. She was behind in some subjects, ahead in others. Her teacher, Mrs. Morrison, no relation to Robert, was patient and kind. Wren made friends, real friends, kids who didn't know about her past, who just knew her as Wren, the girl who loved reading and drawing and always had interesting stories. Finn thrived with Grizzly and Betty. He'd put on weight, smiled more, started playing soccer. His nightmares were getting less frequent. They had dinner together twice a week, the Blackwoods and the Hawthorns, creating traditions, building family. Reaper learned to cook, sort of. He still burned things occasionally, but Wren was teaching him, patient, persistent. They decorated Wren's room together, pink walls because she wanted to feel like a princess, posters of stars because Finn had taught her constellations, a shelf for books, a toy box that was slowly filling, normal things, kid things, the things Wren had never had before. And every night Reaper tucked her in, read her stories, stayed until she fell asleep. Being a father, the trials happened. Victor Kane got 3 life sentences, no parole. Robert Morrison got 47 years. Derek Vance and 6 others got 20 to life each. 23 convictions total. 37 trafficking victims recovered from across 4 states, all placed with loving families. The foster care system underwent massive reform. New oversight, new protocols. Wren's law passed the state legislature, named after the little girl who'd changed everything. And Stuart Whitmore, the lawyer who'd tried to take Wren away. FBI investigation revealed he'd been paid by a shell company connected to the trafficking ring. He was disbarred, facing charges. The network was crumbling. But Wren didn't think about that much anymore. She was too busy being a kid, learning to ride a bike, playing with friends, doing homework, normal, wonderful, boring things. 6 months to the day after the courthouse hearing, they went back to Judge Sullivan's courtroom. Same room, different energy, happy this time. Wren wore a white dress Betty had bought special. Reaper wore a suit. He looked uncomfortable but proud. The Hells Angels filled the gallery, all 47, cleaned up, respectful. Finn sat with Grizzly and Betty, officially adopted 3 months ago, now Finn Blackwood. Sullivan entered, smiled when she saw the crowd. Well, we meet again, under much happier circumstances. She looked at her papers. We're here to finalize the adoption of Wren Harper by Colt Hawthorne. I've reviewed all the reports, the home studies, the background checks, everything. She looked at Reaper. Mr. Hawthorne, 6 months ago, you had no idea how to be a father. How do you think you've done? Reaper glanced at Wren. I think I'm still learning, but I'm trying every day. Mrs. Patterson, the social worker, says you've exceeded expectations. She calls you a natural. What do you think about that? I think Wren's easy to love. She makes it easy. Sullivan smiled. And used Wren. How's he doing as a father? Wren stood, clear voice, confident. He's perfect. He keeps every promise. He makes me breakfast even when he burns it. He helps with homework even when he doesn't know the answers. He reads me stories every night. He tells me he loves me. Her voice got softer. He's everything I always wanted, everything I thought I'd never have. And you want him to be your legal father. He already is. The paper just makes everyone else know it. Sullivan's eyes glistened. She picked up her pen. Then let's make it official. She signed the document. The gavel came down. By the power vested in me by the state of Oregon, I hereby grant the petition for adoption. Wren Adeline Harper is now Wren Adeline Hawthorne. The courtroom exploded, cheering, applause, cameras flashing. Wren screamed with pure joy, launched herself at Reaper. He caught her, spun her around. I'm Wren Hawthorne. I have a real last name, a forever last name. You always did, little bird. You always did. Around them, 47 bikers wiped tears they'd deny later. Finn and Grizzly were hugging. Betty was sobbing happy tears. Kate Brennan stood in the back smiling. Rachel Torres beside her. "We did good," Kate said. "No," Rachel corrected. "That little girl did good. We just helped." After the ceremony, there was a party at the Hells Angels clubhouse. The biggest party Cedar Falls had ever seen. Food, music, laughter, joy. Ren and Finn ran around playing with other kids, children of the club members, a whole new generation learning what family meant. Demon gave Ren a present, a leather jacket, child-sized, with her own patch on the back. "Honorary Hell's Angel," he explained. "You earned it." Ren put it on, too big, but she wore it proudly. "Does this mean I can ride a motorcycle?" "When you're 30. Demon, everyone laughed. As evening fell, Reaper found Ren on the porch, looking at stars. "You okay out here, little bird?" "Yeah, just thinking." He sat beside us. "About what?" "About Mama. Wishing she could see this, see that I'm okay, that I found you." Reaper put his arm around her. "You know what I think? I think she's been watching this whole time. I think she sent you to me." "You really believe that?" "I believe the best things in life aren't accidents. And you're the best thing that ever happened to me." Ren leaned against him. "Safe, loved, home. I love you, Daddy." "I love you too, Princess." They sat there together, father and daughter, family, and somewhere above them in a sky full of stars, Ren liked to think Mama was smiling. Epilogue. 1 year later, the Oregon State Capitol building. Marble floors, high ceilings, power and history in every corner. Ren Hawthorne stood at a podium, 7 years old now, taller, confident, hair in neat braids Betty had done that morning. Behind her, photographs of the 37 recovered children. All of them safe now, all of them thriving. In front of her, 5,000 people, state legislators, advocates, families, press. Ren adjusted the microphone, looked at Reaper standing off to the side. He nodded. She began. "My name is Ren Adeline Hawthorne. 2 years ago, I was homeless and terrified. The system that was supposed to protect me was trying to sell me. I had no family, no home, no hope." Her voice was clear, strong, the voice of someone who'd survived and decided to fight. "But I decided I wasn't going to be invisible anymore. I asked for help, and someone answered. Not the police, not social services, a biker named Reaper, my daddy." She smiled, real and warm. "He saved me, and with him I helped save 7 other kids. We stopped a trafficking ring that had hurt dozens of children. We proved that the system was broken." Ren's voice got stronger. "And now we're here to fix it." She gestured at the banner behind her. "Ren's Law. It creates new oversight for Child Protective Services. It requires background checks for CPS supervisors. It gives foster children advocates who report directly to independent agencies. It makes what happened to me impossible." The crowd applauded. "But laws are just words on paper. What matters is people. People who see kids like me and decide we're worth fighting for. People who don't look away. People who say yes when we ask for help." She looked around the room, at legislators, at advocates, at her family. Every foster kid deserves someone who says yes, someone who sees them, someone who believes they're worth saving. That's what Ren's Law is really about. Saying yes. Standing ovation. 5,000 people on their feet, cheering, crying, believing. Ren stepped back from the podium. Reaper was there immediately. Lifted her up. "You did it, little bird. You changed the world." We changed it. Together. Around them, the Hells Angels. Grizzly and Betty with Finn. Kate Brennan. Rachel Torres. All the people who'd fought for her. A reporter approached. "Ren, how does it feel?" Ren thought about it. About everything that had happened. The fear, the pain, the triumph, the love. "It feels like hope," she said. "Like tomorrow really can be better." That evening back at the cabin, Ren sat on the porch with Reaper, watching the sun set. "Daddy." "Yeah, do you ever regret it? Saying yes when I asked you to be my father?" Reaper looked at her, really looked at her. This miracle child who'd walked into his life and changed everything. Not for 1 second. Best decision I ever made. Even though it was hard, especially because it was hard, good things usually are. Ren smiled, leaned against him. I'm glad I found you. I'm glad you found me, too, little bird. They sat there as darkness fell, as stars emerged, as the world turned and life went on. 2 years ago, Ren had been a scared 6-year-old asking a stranger to be her father. Now she was 7, loved, protected, home. And somewhere in Cedar Falls, another child was learning about Ren's story, about the girl who refused to be invisible, about the bikers who answered when she called, learning that sometimes heroes wear leather jackets and ride motorcycles, learning that family isn't about blood, it's about choice, learning that when you ask for help, sometimes miraculously someone says yes, and that makes all the difference. Dedicated to every child still waiting for someone to say yes.